2016 GOP presidential candidate Senator Marco Rubio was at last night's State of the Union. Senator Rubio, in the chamber, the president again spoke about ISIS, and you heard what he said to Matt Lauer yesterday. What do you think?
Well, I think this gives us insight into why his strategy towards ISIS fails, because he doesn't understand the true nature of the threat. He's still approaching them as some sort of conventional force. This is the most well-funded, well-organized, and sophisticated terrorist group in the history of the world. They now have affiliates in dozens of countries. They're looking to use our immigration system against us to get people into the United States. They have a sophisticated propaganda machine that they're using to add recruits. They're using the visa waiver programs to try to get people into the U.S., and they're sending foreign fighters into Europe. This is a very significant threat. Diminishing them in no way furthers the cause of defeating them. And look, I think it's important to point out to people, we are in a war against ISIS. Either they win or we win. And if we're engaged, we're going to win. They won't beat us. But you have to recognize the seriousness of it and rally the American people to the cause. The president would rather make it look like nothing to see here. And that's why, for example, last week, when a police officer was attacked by a jihadist inspired by ISIS, the White House still hasn't called it a terrorist attack.
He said last night, at least I got from watching on TV, you were in the chamber, but that this isn't World War III. Are we overstating this when we talk about ISIS? Because I talk about ISIS every single night, and I actually was up in Philadelphia, within a short time after that police officer was shot on the street.
Yeah, well, it's not about overstating. He's just misrepresenting the nature of this threat. Yes, this is not a conventional war like it would be against another country with an army that wears uniforms and has an air force. This is in many ways a more dangerous threat. Because, for example, they are radicalizing people who are inspired to take action. The terrorist in Philadelphia is not someone, as far as we know, who went to a terrorist training camp and received a year of training. This is someone who appears to have been radicalized and inspired to take action against us online. The same was the case in San Bernardino. Very significant and serious threat, and we need a president that understands that and will defeat them. When I'm president, I will.
All right. Last night he also said that one of his regrets of presidency, that the rancor and suspicion between the parties has gotten worse instead of better. And I think he took some responsibility for that. So two questions. Do you agree the rancor has gotten worse? And secondly, if president, what would you do to turn that around?
Yeah, the divisions aren't just among the parties. They're in our country, and the president has been the main driver of it. For years in this presidency, Barack Obama has gone out of his way to pit Americans against each other. So if you don't agree with Barack Obama on a policy issue, he doesn't just say you're wrong on policy. He tries to attack your motives, whose side you're on, imply that perhaps you don't care about people. Look at what he does with gun control. He basically implies that people that don't agree with him are in the pocket of an outside group or don't care about victims of gun violence. So he has been the leading driver of this division in American politics, and he should have taken more responsibility for it. But more importantly, he should have never done it in the first place.
Do you give him credit because our 10 sailors have been surrendered? The ones were taken by Iran, and so quickly they have been returned to the United States.
Greta, did you see what they did to these sailors? They took pictures of them on the deck of a ship with their hands behind their back. Then they put them in a jail pen, and they made the female sailor cover her head in a scarf. They took pictures of them and video and put it up on Iranian television as if to say, look what we can do to America. We can capture their sailors. We can make them get on their knees. We can humiliate them. You know why they did this? Because they know they can get away with it. Because they know Barack Obama's weak. Because they know he won't do anything about it. I'm glad they were returned, and I'm glad that they're safe. But the humiliation they're trying to inflict on us goes beyond just that one instance. It's the firing rockets near our ships. It's the constant rhetoric.
Is he to be blamed for this, for the fact that our sailors got picked up?
I think he's to blame for the fact that Iran thinks they can get away with these sorts of things. If the right president were in charge, someone that they know is not trying to coddle them or reach them in a way that makes us weaker, they would have never captured them, and they would have immediately sent them back. They never. What was the point of putting them in a jail cell? What was the point of making them get on their knees and put their hands behind their back? And do you think a friendly country would have done that to America? They would have helped them fix the engine and go back on their way. Iran is not. The Iranian leadership are not friends or allies of the United States of America, and last night proves it. And they are doing this because they understand this is a weak president who will not do anything about these sorts of things.
All right. Tomorrow, we understand more Gitmo detainees will be transferred. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I assume that you are opposed, as a Republican, to the Gitmo being shut down. Is that right? You're opposed to Gitmo being shut down?
Well, not only am I opposed to it being shut down,
Right.
I believe we should be sending people there. I think if we capture a terrorist, they should be sent to Guantanamo, where we're going to find out everything they know.
All right, let me ask you this question, is that the Republicans on the House and the Senate want to keep Gitmo open. The president, though, he hasn't been able to close Gitmo, contrary to a campaign promise in 2008, yet he is using his power to transfer them, so he's going to reduce it down to 0. Gitmo will be open, it just won't have any residents.
Yeah, and not only that, some of the people he's releasing are rejoining the fight against America. In fact, a significant number of the people that have been released are now once again out there rejoining terrorist groups to attack us. This is completely irresponsible. Not only will we keep these people there, they are enemy combatants in an ongoing war. But if we don't destroy terrorists, if we capture them alive when I'm president, they're getting a one-way ticket to Guantanamo, and we are going to find out everything they know.
Has the president checkmated the Republican Party on Gitmo as a consequence of emptying it but not closing it?
Well, I don't know about checkmating. He's doing damage to the country. He is releasing dangerous people who are rejoining the fight against America. So ultimately, the harm is not on Republicans. This is not a political issue. The harm is on America. It is difficult to overstate how much harm Barack Obama has done to this country, how he's hurt us reputationally in the world, how he's gutting our military, how he doesn't, take care of our veterans, what he's doing to our economy, the assault on our Constitution. Our next president needs to be someone that reverses all of this, and I'll begin the work of doing that from my very first day in office.
Senator, thank you for joining us. Of course, we'll all be watching the Fox Business Network at the debate tomorrow night. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Greta.